Hi, I'm Kevin Lopez. I'm the sales strategy lead for Azure Networking and CDN, and I'm joined today by my esteemed colleague, Rashmi.
Hi, I'm Rashmi Anupalli. I am the product manager in Azure Networking.
So today, as we talked about, we're starting a video series. And today's video is going to be about virtual WAN, and to help you to think about the architecture around it, some considerations as a customer, and then how to get started. So Rashmi, as a former customer, I have to ask you, with so many things that Microsoft brings out, so we have the pillars, the connect, the protect, the monitor, and the deliver. And there's different products within all those. And if I'm looking at that, I'm going, gosh, where do I get started? So as a customer, and if I have maybe one branch, or if I have thousands of branches, what can virtual WAN do for me? How should I think about it and start to get going on it?
That's a great question. Well, virtual WAN, think about it as this orchestration service that brings everything together. Now, you don't really need to have thousands of branches. You could just have one branch.
Okay.
And that branch could be a data center, it could be a big office, and you could go from one branches to n branches. Mm-hmm. The concept of virtual WAN is to make things simpler for you. So you could have a bunch of branches coming in through public connectivity, internet connectivity. You could also have private connected branches through Express Route. These public IP connected branches could talk to the Express Route branches. You could also do users like mobile devices, remote users, also called point-to-site users, and you could also connect them to the same system, and they could all just work with each other. As a result of which, what you have is basically different kinds of connectivity endpoints inside the virtual WAN system, where it gives you that flexibility to connect from anywhere, any kind of users at scale. And what that gives you is basically scale where we do up to 20 gigs per region. Mm-hmm. So you could have thousands of branches that can come into a region, and you could have all these regions connected. You could also do 20 gigs express route circuits coming in, and you could also do 10,000 plus users that can also be coming into the same systems. And why are you coming in? Because you are connecting to the cloud to access your cloud resources. So we call it the branch to Azure connectivity.
Okay.
And you could also do branch to branch. And what that means is your VPN connected sites could talk to Express Route connected sites, could talk to your point-to-site connected users. And you could do that at scale using the Microsoft backbone, which spans, as you know, 54 regions. Last time I checked, 147 POPs.
Yeah.
And pretty much we're there everywhere.
Right. So if I'm hearing you correctly then, this really helps me to bring my branches together. It helps me to connect with Azure. I can use other Microsoft services along with it.
Yep.
So these are some of the key things. As a customer, I want to make sure that when I'm investing in something, I have use of everything around me. Now, talk to me a little bit then with the partners. So do I need to work with a partner to enable the virtual WAN? And if so, what are they going to do, or how does that all kind of work together?
I see. So we have introduced this concept of virtual WAN partners.
Okay.
And these partners are companies that have CPE devices that can do VPN. So basically, it could be an SD-WAN device, it could be a VPN device, it could be your favorite firewall or your load balancer, any kind of device that can do IPsec. So these partners, what they have done with us, have automated this entire workflow.
Okay.
And when I say automation, what they have done is they have removed the need for you to know what IPsec is. Should we do phase 1, should we do phase 2? You don't need to know the networking elements of it. All you have to do is focus on your business. I just want to be able to connect to Azure, so make it happen. And what that means is on the partner portal, you have an option to be able to upload the device information to Azure. It's just a simple click. And then in Azure, you can figure out, okay, I want all these devices to be hosted and connected to Azure West. So you can do that in the Azure portal.
Okay.
And then behind the scene, what happens is there are systems on premise that can poll us, take the Azure configuration, download it to the devices, and just set up that connectivity. You don't have to do any of it.
Oh.
So it just automates this whole process. And we call this a great partnership because it takes away the complicated aspects of setting up a network. So these are our CPE partners, and so basically, if you do IPsec, you could be our partner, and we have a bunch of steps and how to get started, and we can help you get going on that.
Wow. So 2 takeaways I got on that is, if number one, if I'm a partner, there's an ecosystem for me to participate with and in. But number 2, as a former customer, I don't have to throw things away.
Yes.
I could reuse and repurpose and still gain the wonders of what virtual WAN does for me.
Yes.
Oh, that's good news. Okay. So here's one. Some of our virtual WAN partners are also SD-WAN partners.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about differentiation, what they bring, what I, as again, thinking as a customer, like what should I be considering, what are the pluses, what are if there's any minuses, just kind of go through some of that for me, would you?
Okay. So that's actually one of the most prominent questions we get. When we announced it, we said we partner with SD-WAN players, and what that means is we automate the whole aspect of connecting from an SD-WAN CPE to Azure.
Okay.
SD-WAN, if I were to kind of summarize it, brings you simplification of how devices can connect and also work together. So what that means is, let's say you have a branch device that you send to a branch,
Okay.
and you want that to just magically, somebody go plug it in and it just gets its intelligence from somewhere. That's called zero-touch provisionable devices. So SD-WAN gives you that.
Okay.
Many of the SD-WAN systems give you that. The second important aspect of SD-WAN is path selection. So at the branch, you may have multiple links, like you may have a certain ISP providing you a certain link, and you may have a different kind of a link. Now you need the ability or the flexibility to pick the correct physical link for certain kind of traffic, and that's called path selection. Now this is at the branch device.
Okay.
And the third is, you may want to send certain kind of application-based traffic on a certain physical link. So you may want to put in some rules which say, if you are going and using this application, go via this highway versus another highway. And when I say highway, these are all links.
Sure.
So zero-touch provisionable devices, path selection, and application-based routing are kind of the tenets of SD-WAN. So these devices, they come as a system where there's a branch device. Microsoft doesn't own any of the SD-WAN devices.
Right.
That's why we partner with them. And these branch devices sometimes need to talk to a head end, which is their aggregator, for just understanding how everything is and to be able to share some information. So, and as a result of which, they can provide these functionality. So when we say that we work with SD-WAN, what that means is those CPEs, they have that system has automated connectivity to an Azure endpoint.
Gotcha.
Where these endpoints in Azure are, Microsoft managed services, where there are VPN endpoints, there could be express route endpoints, there could be point-to-site endpoints. But what you're looking for is that functionality at the branch, which is through this SD-WAN system.
Yeah.
But you're also looking for a Microsoft service, which is ease of use. You don't have to think about the network, and you can just simply connect.
Ah, okay. All right, so they again, kind of summarizing, they bring me more advantages
Yes.
into my system.
That's
and again, I don't have to kind of start fresh, start new, buy new stuff, although I love to buy new things. But
Yeah, I mean, but if you are a customer that's exploring SD-WAN, you will probably invest in looking at all the SD-WAN players out there. There's some very good ones.
Absolutely, do your homework. And,
do your homework and figure out what's important to you. What are those SD-WAN features you're looking for? And then go find those providers. And you may have to buy a few, branch devices and systems out there.
Okay. So I know, as people start to look at, everybody always wants, I always like to say there's 3 things where you could get to pick 2, good, cheap, and fast, right? So pick 2, right? So oftentimes people always go to the cheap side of it. So as customers look into like, hey, I want to have cheaper connectivity, I want to have, ways that I could do these things, do you see virtual WAN, or is virtual WAN like a replacement for like MPLS or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, we've gotten that question here and there. Virtual WAN is not really a replacement for MPLS.
Okay.
We look at it as 2 different kinds of systems, and it depends on the customer needs.
Sure.
Now, if the customer is looking for options where they can use internet connectivity to connect to a cloud provider, virtual WAN kind of gives you this orchestration system where you can leverage the Azure backbone to connect sites. And what that means is you could have branches in, let's say, in one part of the globe, and then you could have branches in another part of the globe, and you just pick a hub. It's a hub and spoke topology. So you pick a hub in virtual WAN. There's a concept of one hub per region. And you can just imagine these branches can talk to each other through our fabric, through our backbone. So this is a system that can coexist with our carriers. As you know, we have express route connectivity provided through our carrier ecosystem. And that same express route circuit can connect to a virtual WAN. So we can all happily coexist, but it all depends upon the customer. It's their choice. They have to decide, whether they want to use which system and what works for them, just for all the factors you just said, cost, simplification, network needs, etc.
Well, that's good. So as a former customer, again, I like to have those decisions laid out for me so that I can make what's best for my business. That's good. So Microsoft, we're offering people the ability to choose, how they want to go. We're not making any kind of claim that, hey, we're replacing this or doing something like that. That's good. Great. Excellent. So I know we've talked about a lot of the positives, a lot of the, here's what you should think about, here's this. This is also, a relatively new area for us to get into as Microsoft. So talk to me a little bit, as much as we can, let's talk about limitations right now, maybe plans for the future, what's coming and what people, again, laying it all out for a customer to consider, what would you say? What are some of the things?
Limitations, we call it opportunities.
Opportunities, okay. What are the opportunities?
Yes. So currently what I would say our limitations are the following. One, we have a couple of services in it that are in preview. We expect to go GA very soon, and those are the express route and the point-to-site services. Now, these are fully baked available services outside of virtual WAN.
Sure.
But in virtual WAN, as we bring all the systems together and make it easier for a customer to be able to provision their network, these services are going through their cycle, and so but we are very soon going to announce GA. The second one would be advanced monitoring. So we are still building some of these monitoring capabilities, so it can be your pseudo NOC, so to say, and that's also coming this year. The third limitation that I would call out is a full mesh hub. Yes, that's correct. Is the hub-to-hub or a full mesh hub. So if you had branches connected to a certain hub and you had some other kinds of branches or regional offices connected in a different part of the globe, and you wanted all those hubs to be just full mesh connected, that's something we are working on, and you can expect that later part of the year. And then last but not the least, if you are looking for a virtual appliance of your choice, so let's just say you have some favorite vendor or certain device provider, and if you wanted to deploy that in your hub and spoke in virtual WAN, we don't let you do that today, but we are working on it. But there is a way to do it. I mean, you can basically set up routes in the virtual WAN to basically say, if you're going to so-and-so VNet in Azure, go through this virtual appliance, and we let you do that.
Okay, so there's workarounds in place, and as you continue to build, we'll continue to announce new things.
Yes.
Okay, which leads me then to the next and kind of the really good stuff, which is, can you walk us through sort of some best practices, where I should look, as a customer if I want to begin to explore it, and then tell me how easy it is to set up, and then where am I going to look for new announcements and stuff as well? Okay.
So best practices is quite a few. Actually, we have matured since we announced last year in July. But basically start thinking about virtual WAN as a ease of use network as a service.
Okay.
And when you're thinking about it, start thinking about, okay, I have branches, I have sites, I have offices, I have data centers, I want to connect to Azure. I like the idea of this service.
Yeah.
And if I were to put branches connecting through public internet, so we are using VPN, and if I wanted to use private connectivity, I could do VPN, express route. I could also do point-to-site, multiple remote users connecting in. So those are kind of the best practices to start thinking about bringing these systems together.
Okay, how am I going to connect?
Exactly, how am I going to connect? Then the second thing to consider would be If I want these branches to talk to each other, just branch to branch, without really going into Azure or like needing policies in Azure or some kind of processing in Azure, you could do ExpressRoute Global Reach. I mean, Global Reach gives you branch to branch where you enter the Microsoft network and you can write the network and you can talk to your other branches, right? So you could use ExpressRoute Global Reach, which is generally available now.
Okay.
And then the third best practice that I would advise is if you're looking for that virtual appliance functionality in Azure, let's say you want the traffic to go through a certain firewall or a certain device in Azure, and you want to route that traffic, you could do that today. You could basically set up a basic route in the Azure Virtual WAN Hub and basically tell them, hey, go to this virtual appliance, and you can do that and start thinking about it.
Okay.
So what really will happen as a part of this best practices is a topology is going to come together, which is going to make things easier for you and is going to make things scalable for you. It's going to make things performant for you. It's going to make things cost effective for you. And as a result of it, you can actually have your perfect WAN.
The perfect WAN. What a dream. Okay, you're going to show us some things on your screen here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's already subjective, right?
You're right. I'm already thinking about it. How do I do that?
Absolutely. Okay. So here we are. We are in the virtual WAN documentation page.
Just up on Azure.com. Okay.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay.
Just
Public
go look
site,
for Azure Virtual WAN, and you should see a few links pop up. And as you go there, when you go into the virtual WAN documentation page, you have an overview section where it walks you through different aspects of the service. There is an architecture, a very simple architecture diagram here, concept of hubs, concept of different spokes, where you could have on-premise spokes. You could also have spokes in Azure. This is where your workload is. And if you wanted to talk between your branches and ExpressRoute connected branches, here I represent them through DCs, or some users, you can go look at that. We also have, newly introduced a certain document on just global transit network architecture. This kind of gives you how you could start thinking about your next gen network, basically. So you have that as well. If you're looking for partners where we are available, the locations, and we continue to update this, you can go take a look. These partners are basically that have active products out there. And we are also working with many. We have announced quite a few coming soon. The coming soons don't show up here, but if you write to us at azurevirtualwan@microsoft.com, we'll be happy to share with you. These coming soon partners, they are actually working on it, and we hope to see at least 5 or 10 of them light up later this year.
Excellent. Wow,
yes.
That's great.
Also, it's good to probably keep an eye on just the how-tos. We have quite a few how-tos. There is a how-to for a partner that wants to automate connectivity from the device to us. So we tell them, just go ahead, read this, get going, and then contact us, and we will, make you a part of our partner list.
That's a great point. So partners can get started just by looking on here as well.
Absolutely. All of the APIs that they are calling on the Azure side are all public. It's nothing specific that we are doing for anybody particular. They're all there, and if you have any questions, more than happy to connect with you. Also, we have tutorials, if you wanted to set up a site-to-site, if you wanted to do an ExpressRoute connection, if you wanted to do point-to-site. So we have everything out here for you. And some quick references, and if you wanted to do PowerShell CLI, we do support them. Our portal is our main medium, and we are also bringing in quite a few advanced portal options later this year. So super excited about that. And if you wanted to get started, what you would do is you would go into the Azure portal, look for Virtual WAN ARM resource. This is just like any other resource in Azure. Look for Virtual WAN, and it's going to bring up this blade. Put in the name, pick your subscription, and pick a resource group, and then pick the Virtual WAN resource group location, and this is just where the metadata is stored. Virtual WAN is just a global resource. And then once you do this, you actually get going. I mean, you have this resource in Azure, which is your Virtual WAN resource, and then you get into it, and then you see something like this, which is going to look very beautiful, even more beautiful later this year, because we're working on those things.
Making it better.
And then you're going to see a connectivity section, which has VPN sites, hubs, and you can just go from there. If you already have a device at your branches or your on-premise side that are partners that we work with, then it's just very easy for you. Just click one button there, click one button here, and you know, the whole
You keep
connectivity is set
going.
up.
Okay.
But let's say you don't, and you still have a lot of traditional devices that you want to use, you can still do that. This gives you the options to set up manually as well as automatedly.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So this is my portal kind of for everything.
Everything, yes,
Okay.
and you can just get started right away.
Okay. So summarize, if I'm a customer, I'm interested in it, I should go to that site,
Yes.
look through all the materials, check out some of the reference architecture stuff, look at the how-tos, and then I could, as I begin to map out the things that I want to do, I could begin to build them if I wanted to in here.
Yes.
We also have you know, teams that I support, the Azure Global Black Belts for larger customers that you know, have really kind of gnarly looking configurations, and you want to ask questions, so we can help with that. But then even if I'm a partner, I can still go out and get started and get my partnership going so that I can begin to familiarize myself with the setup and what I need to do.
That's correct.
This is great. This is great. Okay. Any other closing thoughts or anything before we sign off?
Well, if you have any questions, feel free to write to us.
And what was that again? What was the address?
Azure Virtual WAN at
Azure Virtual WAN at
Microsoft.com. Yes.
Microsoft.com.
Yes, and we typically reply within 24 to 48 hours. So, you know, if you have any pressing questions or anything like that, don't struggle, just reach out to us.
Okay. So Azure Virtual WAN at Microsoft.com. Thank you, Rashmi, for joining us today. And again, this is, you know, we're starting the series, so this falls under the connect of one of our pillars. So the connect, protect, monitor, deliver. Thank you for providing the first connect video for today.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again.
Thanks.